All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. I'm with my man Nades. Like usual, little six-gamer on DraftKings. Locks at 7:07 Eastern. FanDuel, though, for all the FanDuel people out there, they included the two early games. For once, FanDuel actually did it right. Doesn't matter when you can only win a couple tanks of gas when you take first place. But, hey, that's beside the point. 6:35 Eastern. Padres, Phillies, Cards, Pirates are on the FanDuel slate. We're talking DraftKings like usual. Again, our hitter rankings, pitcher rankings, the stone, that all does include the FanDuel stuff as well. If you want to dig deep into those two games, projections, ownership as well. Nades, how we doing today on this Monday?
Doing good, man. Fun little six-game slate here. Loaded baseball. Looking forward to a nice little short week here before I head up to God's country up here in Wisconsin. Enjoy some nice time on the lake house. Doing some boating, fishing, enjoying, and consuming some nice cold ones up there. In honor of my guy G Rising, I'll be pouring some good ones back, and hopefully got some extra cheese in the pocket rolling up to vacation. And it starts here tonight with this nice little six-game slate here, which there's pretty loaded pitching overall, and then some bats it's kind of. I don't know. Take some stabs. There's obviously some spots where people are kind of condensing on. Yankees, Red Sox, Orioles is kind of where people are condensing on. So we'll do our best to navigate that, but looking forward to breaking it down here. We can go a little bit more in depth on shorter slates like this and talk more game theory, things like that, which is always fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to say hi to everyone first. Yeah, shout out Rolo, proving me wrong right here. $50K, that'll get you plenty of tanks of gas. Only $5. Now, I don't know what fifth place pays. It might be literally awful. All the money's to first, but I take it back. Shout out FanDuel. $5, $50K to first is a great job. Kenny in here. He's in here a lot. I'll answer this quick. What's up, fellas? Quick question. If playing low dollar small field tournaments, what's the difference between building an average lineup or a lineup with upside? At the end of the day, it's just when I think of average lineup or like that, I'm thinking of cash games. You only need to beat 50% of the people and you get paid the exact same. In tournaments, you should always be building upside lineups because that's what stacking is. 5-2-1, 5-3. That's what we preach. That's a high upside lineup. You're stacking 5 players on one team. If that team scores 1, you're going to take last. If that team scores 12, you're going to put up a lot of points. So jamming 5 people all onto one of your teams, like that's high risk. High risk, high reward. That's building upside. Obviously, pitchers, you play pitchers you like. But at the end of the day, like you're looking at K-props, projection, etc. But to this question, if you're stacking, you're playing high risk, you're playing a lineup with upside. That's at the end of the day, the only thing. It doesn't even necessarily mean a low-owned player to. Again, it's mainly just stacking is how I would look at a high upside lineup. Derek helped answer that as well. Michael Peterson, what's going on? Jason Turner, Cam the man, always good to see you. Yeah, Crochet Burns, definitely going to get some ownership, especially on the Crochet side. Robert Davis, MN Holla, no doubt about that. Going to miss it this year. Usually I'm up similar by Nades. I will be in Alaska, though, so I will also be way out. Me and Nades will be off next week. You will get some other people coming on the shows. G Rising, Ham, I think Hoop, maybe even Rio. We'll have you covered like always, but Big Nades and I will be out on vacation. What's going on? Woody, no stop in here. Brian, Pierre, Ricky, already said hi to Kenny. You bet. Gangrene, good to see you. Hitting the Benjamin here. That's what I love to hear. All we ask, like button, subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. Again, 6 games. We can usually answer more questions in chats. Go a little more depth. I got really nothing more to add, though, Nades. If you want to go broad slate overview, you talked about bats, so you covered the bats. Yankees, I think Red Sox, because a lot of them are cheap. And then I think O's kind of because they're pretty cheap. Yeah, Tampa might get a little bit as well. But as you see right up here, no one implied for over 5 runs. Looking at SaberSim right there. Going to pitcher, though, one guy stands in a tier of their own. Garrett Crochet, only K-prop that's above 6.5 is him. He's at 8.5. There is juice on the under, but still, you don't see many 8.5s out there. He will be mega owned. I'm taking the average of SHIPIT Nation and SaberSim on both sites. 52%, one of the highest we've seen. Depending on the tournament, you're talking like small field, high dollar, that could be 85% today. Even flagship, I wouldn't be surprised if we're looking at 64, something like that, and other people trying to get different at bats. After that, I do think it's pretty mixed. Logan Webb, if you want double spends. Otherwise, it's probably George Kirby and Rasmussen if you want to pair with Crochet. Then you can spend up at pitching there. That's how our ownership has it. Again, sorting by projection, night and day with Crochet, then a handful of guys right in that 14, 15, 16 range right there. I say, if you have any broad slate, anything you want to add to that, Nades, you can. Otherwise, let's go. We'll make it easy going Rasmussen at 7.5 up to Crochet, because in the second half, I think we'll have very little interest down below. But anything you want to add? Otherwise, Rasmussen up to Crochet. What are we doing?
Yeah, so basically how the slate steps up is you play Crochet, you play one of Scherzer, one of the cheaper guys, right? Whether it's Lopez, whether it's Waka, whether it's Corbin, whether it's Scherzer with Crochet, and then you kind of stack up. I'm getting a lot of KC in the dry run, which makes sense, right? Because you can 5-man stack them at their salaries. So it's pretty much Crochet and then a cheaper arm. If you don't want that and you want to go to Yankees, etc., you kind of got to punt off some of the mini stacks. You can definitely still afford them, but that's why Baltimore and Boston are getting the ownership, because it makes it a lot easier to play Garrett Crochet, which obviously when we talk pitching here in a couple seconds, you're going to realize why everything kind of centers around Crochet. By no surprise, highest upside on the slate, one of the best pitchers in baseball. The leash is there. Gets a high strikeout matchup against the Reds here. Everything kind of points to Garrett Crochet outside, besides the weather there. So that's kind of the talking point. It's the Yankees is the high-end spend-up stack, because they got, obviously, Aaron Judge against the lefty, right? Goldschmidt. They got the expensive arms in there. So that's the reason for that. The two cheaper stacks that are going to command all the ownership, at least projections-wise, and overall dry run SaberSim optimizer wise are going to be Boston and Baltimore. We'll do our best to talk through that there. But starting with the pitching, Garrett Crochet for me is a lock in single entry 3-max stuff. I don't say that too often. It's just I'm eating that chalk there. It's just the Reds have a ton of strikeout upside there. Even if Ellie or one of the Austin Hayes or one of these guys pegs a home run against Crochet, I mean, the dude's got the highest strikeout prop on the slate. He's got overall just the best spot. So for me, it's Garrett Crochet. I'm in on him, not worried about him. He's got minus 152 juice on the over of 7.5 strikeouts. I mean, not much more to say there than Garrett Crochet, and he's 10-7. He's not 12-5. Makes it more affordable to get to him. The other guy up at the top that I'd have interest in is Logan Webb. I'm not playing Carlos Rodon in that game there against the Blue Jays. Blue Jays been one of the best teams in all of baseball over the last month. I think they're 6th in OPS against left-handed pitching. They just don't strike out a ton overall. So if I'm spending up on another arm, I'm going to go to a guy against in Logan Webb. Arizona is a very good team. Their lineup isn't full strength, which I do like. And Logan Webb is a turbo ground ball guy. He's been a way better strikeout arm this year as well, which does help. So he's the guy I would go to as a pivot off of Crochet. If you want to go up at the top end, you can double spend, get you on a totally different roster construction than the field there. If you want to go Crochet and Logan Webb, Chase Burns is probably one of my favorite tournament plays on the slates, because when you run the dry run, right, guess who's getting a bunch of ownership is the Boston Bats. This dude, talked about him in his first start when he was going up against the Yankees in that weather game. I mean, this is one of the most electric arms in baseball in terms of strikeout ability. Not many people are going to play him. He's going to be 10% or under. We have him right around 10%. I think that stays pretty true, because when people are building teams, they look at a 4.5 implied run total, which is right there, second on it, or right in line with the O's, right in line with Tampa, right in line with the Yankees. And Boston's very cheap in Fenway in good weather. People are going to play that side versus Chase Burns. He could get tagged. He does give up power and fly balls when he does get hit. But, I mean, anytime you got a pitcher that is 8K that not many people are going to play, that leverages the other side with the strikeout ability Chase Burns has, I'm in on him. So my favorite overall combo is just pairing Crochet and Chase Burns together and hoping that people are more on the bat side of things in Fenway than the pitchers. So those are my favorite two up here. Logan Webb being the pivot. George Kirby, don't really have much interest personally myself in George Kirby. That's one of the chalkier pitchers that I'm going to be out on. I'd much rather just go to Drew Rasmussen, who I think has pitched better as of late. He's a better arm. Rasmussen against the A's has a lot of strikeouts. Even in that weather there, the A's have a bunch of strikeouts there compared to what KC does. So for me, it's Rasmussen is the cheaper guy there, and then Waka. I'm in on Waka. Waka's looked great. Coming off a 9 strikeout, do I think he's going to go and strike out 9 Mariners? No, but he doesn't have to. I mean, the dude's 7,200. His pitch count's going to be 90+. He's got strikeout ability, and he's in line. I mean, he's got a good chance of getting a quality start in a pitcher's ballpark out there in Seattle against, a hot offense, but they also have a ton of strikeouts there too. So for me, it's Rasmussen, Waka in that mid-tier, Burns, Crochet up top. And then down low, you're taking stabs. Jacob Lopez has a ton of downside, but he also has a ton of strikeout ability. He's another high strikeout arm. Could go bad for him in a hurry. But the Rays do, while they are one of the better hitting teams, they do have a lot of strikeouts, especially over the last month against lefties there. So he's got strikeout ability at 7K. Max Scherzer is kind of the talking point for me. He got up to 82 pitches in his last start. His velocity is down on kind of, I was just looking at his fan graphs here. His velocity is down on his fastball and his cutter. He's using his changeup more, I think, or his curveball more, because I think he knows his velocity isn't quite back where it was. But this dude has pitched very good against the Yankees in his entire career. Coming off a decent game. His strikeout prop is good. One of the best, third best on the slate is a strikeout prop with juice on the over, which makes me interested in that. And you look at the Yankees bats on the other side, they're going to be one of the most popular teams on the slate. Scherzer's just 6,500 with strikeout ability and strikeout upside. So I'm in on Scherzer at that price point. Pitch count is a concern, but 82 pitches last start does give me some less concern there. And then if you really need to punt all the way down to the bottom, I'd much rather just play Scherzer. But if you really want to go to Patrick Corbin, reason for that, is probably the most popular team on the slate. They are absolutely atrocious against left-handed pitching on the season. I mean, they have a bunch of pinch hit concerns in that lineup when you're talking offense, but you look at their team, almost a 30% K rate against lefties on the road this season, a team ISO under 100. WOBA numbers are in the dumps. I mean, this team has just been absolutely horrendous against lefties. Corbin, for what it's worth, has actually been pretty solid this year, which is crazy to say. The corpse of Patrick Corbin pitching decent, but I mean, at home, 22.3% K rate, limited hard contact. He's going long. He's got the leash, and he's the cheapest pitcher on the slate as a leverage off of one of the most popular, if not the most popular offense. So it's a pretty loaded pitching slate. I lifted a lot of them. That's kind of what I prefaced off the top of the show. So in summary, it's Corbin, Scherzer down low, Waka, Rasmussen in the middle, and then Crochet and Burns are really the guys I'm looking at in the top tier. I mentioned, obviously, when I talked about it, I mentioned Lopez. He would be a distant guy just with the strikeout ability that he can have. So it's really those other 6 guys that I'm really looking at.
You had no interest in Trevor Rogers, right? You prefer Lopez, sure. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. A great breakdown. I'm in agreement with a lot of what you said. The first thing I want to touch on, great question, Michael said, when people aren't playing Crochet, do you think they're double punting or going to pivot with Webb or Rodon? I think a lot of non-Crochet teams have probably Logan Webb. And if it's not Logan Webb, it's going to be a Burns Kirby, Rasmussen Burns. I don't see a double punt too much when you're fading Kirby. They would sit right in that mid-tier range is how I see it. I'm with Big Nades. If I'm playing 20 teams, I'm locking Crochet because there's enough SP2s. Like, this is what my player pool would look at. When you were going through it, I don't even like Logan Webb much. I don't love the double spend nearly as much. I mean, his K-prop 5.5 minus 135 on the over. You mentioned D-backs are a good baseball team. Waka 4.5 minus 165 on the over. Kirby 4.5 minus 155 on the over. Patrick Corbin 4.5 minus 165 on the over. Both Lopez, Rasmussen 5.5. Some juice on the under, but still pretty close. Burns 5.5, better K-prop minus 155 on the over. Scherzer about the same, 5.5 minus 120 on the over. Like that's $3,200 difference we're getting right here. On top of, you mentioned Scherzer, Yankees will be owned, direct leverage. Corbin, Baltimore will be owned, direct leverage. Chase Burns, AK, Boston, going to be owned, direct leverage. You're not really getting direct leverage with Logan Webb. People aren't playing Arizona, so not that I would necessarily X them out, but I would probably cap them at like 10. And again, when you're locking Crochet, I don't love going the double spend. I agree. I wouldn't play Rodon in 20 teams either. His K prop, 5.5, -130 on the under. I just listed a whole bunch of guys that are so much cheaper that have better K props there. So Crochet's chalk I want to eat. Great matchup. One of the best pitchers in baseball. No pitch count concerns. Again, you said 7.5 juice on the over at the book you were looking. DraftKings 8.5, some juice on the under. But I want to staple my team there. Don't love Webb much. I like Burns because of the direct leverage and the upside he has. Big arm, big K stuff. Kirby's more the safe play. And I agree with you, Nades. Like in tournaments, I put him at like 14%. You don't love him much. But again, if I'm playing 20 teams and locking Crochet, I don't need to make the biggest stands in the world. If I got 14% because Saber liked it, sure, I cap it at 14. If I got 3%, maybe I'd X it out then because I don't like it and Saber doesn't like it. But I wouldn't make a hard rule to X him there. I'm with you with Rasmussen. I think he's pretty solid. Should have some run supports. Pretty big favorites there. Waka, he was the one I didn't expect to have as much interest as I did because I just don't look at him as like an upside guy. But that K prop, I love the ballpark in Seattle. You love playing pitchers there. That's the reason to play Kirby, the reason to play Waka. But look at that. Kirby and Rasmussen. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it was double the ownership on those two to Waka. And again, Waka is a better K prop than Kirby, only by 10 cents, but you get some savings and ownership discount. I'm definitely in on Waka right there. Lopez, I pulled up Gang Green's comment a little earlier. Like, this dude looks to have some elite stuff. Now, obviously, like, he's been in the bullpen. Pitch count stuff, I'm not convinced it's 94. Do you have any lean on the pitch count stuff here?
Yeah, so let me just look real quick on Lopez here. So in his last, he went in his last game since he transitioned to a starter, 96, 91, 98, 95, 103. So
yeah,
his pitch count's gonna be there. And the dude, he's had 9 strikeouts, 5 strikeouts, 9 strikeouts, 9 strikeouts, 6 strikeouts, 8 strikeouts in his games he started. So, I mean, one of those was against Philly, Minnesota, Baltimore, who obviously sucks against lefties, Kansas City, who doesn't strike out. He struck out 9 batters in Kansas City. Houston, who doesn't strike out. He struck out 9 Astros. Detroit, who doesn't really strike out a ton. He struck out 6 Tigers. So the dude does have elite strikeout stuff. He also has a lot of downside, but that's the definition of tournament play. He's going to be sub 10% owned on the other side of a much chalkier Rasmussen.
Great call. Thanks for helping me out. So the pitch count I agree with SaberSim. Shout out SaberSim. Great job there. He's someone, Lopez, and like Burns. I would play some Lopez in 20 entry. I would definitely play some Rays in 20 entry. It's a spot you can get overweight on both pretty easily. The Rays aren't looking really chalky. Lopez, we have at 10%. Obviously, don't 5-man against your own pitcher, but when you're playing multiple lineups in different stuff, that is something I would do with Lopez. And yeah, like Yankees are going to be very owned. Scherzer's K prop is solid. Scherzer's completely free down here. I don't hate it. Do I love it? Not really, to be honest. I prefer the Waka, Rasmussen range, even Burns, I think. But I would keep Scherzer in. And then Corbin, another K prop that really surprised me. 4.5, a lot of juice on the over. Baltimore, a team that's we like picking on. I mean, yeah, they put up 22 runs last Friday. We were a little talking pre-show. But Baltimore is going to be one of the highest owned teams on the slate. So I think there's 3 solid pitchers. When you're eating Crochet chalk up top, Corbin, a lot of direct leverage. Scherzer, a lot of direct leverage. Burns, a lot of direct leverage. All of them at least a 4.5 K prop with good juice on the over. So hard stand on Crochet. Fade the Rodons, a couple of the Rodgers of the world. Kirby, one of the second highest owned probably. Cap him, be underweight. I would even force underweight Webb, who will be one of the chalkiest as well. And just mix in these other guys. This is how I would be in my 20 entry pool in SaberSim. Maybe a little more aggressive than most because, again, you are locking someone and like taking out Rodon and some others. But I do think you need to make some stands with the less teams you play. Now, 20 teams can be a lot, but I'm going to spread out bats to an extent as well. So Crochet, Mixon, SP2, hope one of these, 8 or whatever, are the guy that you need to SP2. Any final thoughts on pitching before we talk some bets?
No, I think we broke it down for sure. Pretty good. It's a pretty loaded pitching slate, even with just 6 games. And there's guys we didn't even talk about. I see guys talking about Trevor Rogers owned this team last time, all of that. So there's definitely other arms you can play too that we're not on. You got to make some cuts somewhere. He didn't make my cut, less than a K per 9, and all the things there. And I just don't love chasing game logs anyway. So even if the dude did ace a team last time, I mean, there's so many different factors that go into that, different lineups, different weather, different parks, etc. that play into that there. So I don't take too much into account there, but if you want to play him, he's 6,300 and sub 5% owned. So
yeah. Again, gang, like I love it. I use pitcher rankings a part of my process too, but that's just a part of my process. I have other things that I'm looking at. 4.5K prop, minus 155 on the under. I can get Patrick Corbin for so much less for a whole $1 on his over. And they're going to be very similarly owned, or Burns that's showing 10%, or Waka. There's just so many other low owned pitchers that I feel much more comfortable with. And you're not even going to see the Rangers that owned. Like Corbin, you are going to get more direct leverage. So again, everyone has their process. Totally understand. I like the pitcher rankings. I like the hitter rankings. At the end of the day, it's not end all be all though. Everyone has their own process though. And shout out to you for it. More education, MLB, 2 hours, Hoop and Tambo talking baseball. Hey, maybe Trevor Rogers on the winner. It's baseball. I would not be shocked. We already had a huge list of SP2s, more than I usually want. So we had to make some cuts personally. And he did make the cut for me. But all right, before we do talk bats, hey, what's up, Go Collect? Good afternoon to you, sir. Always good to see you. Nothing else there. People talking. Yeah, I mean, Ilya's the man. He's beating Patty, Gaethje, all these guys. But I want to see the Islam Topuria. That's the fight we need. Before we go, talk some bats, though. Again, only 6 games. If you're not a member at SHIPIT Nation, we just showed SaberSim. Shout out to SaberSim, the best optimizer out there. On top of SaberSim, what you get with the code MLB75, all of our content, PGA, MMA, NASCAR. Shout out to people in the Discord. They're doing Canadian Football League. We had a shipper in there. They talk in the college football streets, WNBA. I know Wardo, Sean Sullivan, others talking in the NBA chat. We don't charge for them, but very knowledgeable members in the Discord community. A big added bonus right there. Other sports, tennis. If you have interest in these members, do dial in on them. They dive in. They play money. You can always pick their brains as well, but no better time. Usually $99 for all of our content. Using the code MLB75 takes it all the way down to $74, or $75 off takes it down to $24. Excuse me, less than $1 a day. As you can see, the core package, usually $99. You get SaberSim, late swap, be able to build 250 teams, see 150. That 99 goes all the way down to $24 the first month. We would love to have you at the Nation. And if you do join, most definitely get in the Discord. All right. Again, like button also helps us out a ton. Free to do, bringing you shows on this channel almost every single day. Time to talk some ball, some bats needs. Yankees, Blue Jays. Let me refresh this quick to see what total we're looking at. 8.5, minus 149 favorites are the Yankees. Again, looking at it, Yankees will be one of the highest owned teams on the slate. Scherzer, again, K's were fine. We made a case for him. He will be in the pool. 5.5, juice on the over. The thing with the Yankees, though, and especially while they're going to be owned, the team total relative to the slate's fine, guaranteed 9th inning at bats. But outside of Judge and Jazz, this lineup's way too cheap. Grisham should not be 4-1 still. He's been leading off for months. Half the games are at Yankee Stadium. He should be 5K. Rice should be 5K. Bellinger coming off a monster game yesterday, I believe it was. They grade out well in the hitter rankings. They are chalk. What are you doing with the Yankees? What are you doing with the Blue Jays?
Yeah, so for me, the Yankees are fine. The lefties are where I want to go. I want Grisham. I want Rice. I want Bellinger, Chisholm, Austin Wells is my preferred options there against Scherzer. It's just I don't know what to really do with them. It's such a small slate. I take more account into ownership here. Blue Jays bullpen has been pretty good over the last month too, which does worry me. The other thing though, going for the Yankees is you look at the StatCast metrics that rank ballparks in terms of home run factors. 100 is kind of the baseline, the average. Blue Jays have the third best park in terms of home runs, with all the StatCasts and metrics based on or that Baseball Savant puts out. So they're 34 percentage points above the league average in terms of home runs, which doesn't mean that they hit 34% more home runs in Rogers Center, but it just takes into account the average player going there compared to elsewhere, right? 30%. That's kind of how it breaks it down. Overall, it's the third best park for a home run factor in baseball, according to them, which does help. The roof is going to be open here tonight, at least what I'm looking at in Rogers Center.
Where do you see that?
I'm seeing on Ballpark Pal has the roof open. I tried to Google it and see.
I just said, is roof open in Toronto? It said the Rogers Center roof in Toronto is not open today, June 30th, 2025.
Okay, well, then.
But I don't know for sure. It's an AI overview on Google. Maybe someone else in chat can give us.
Either way, roof closed, roof open. It's going to be better with the roof open. Roof closed doesn't really matter. The lefties for the Yankees are more preferred options. Definitely, obviously, you can play Aaron Judge anytime he's on the slate. Anytime he's on the slate, Stanton's going to pick up a ton of ownership because DraftKings doesn't price this dude over 3,500. We know the upside he has. Volpe would be probably my favorite righty overall. With the ownership, 3,900 shortstop onesie position. He actually has a good fly ball rate against righties on the season. Yankees are fine. They're not my favorite stack overall. Just nature of the slate, you have to have some Yankees. This is a team, especially in 20 max, where I'd be playing both sides. I'd be having Scherzer in there because 10%, 15% Scherzer is in line, if not over the field on Scherzer. And then on the other side, Yankee stacks for sure are fine. Not my favorite team. On the Blue Jays side, if I were to take a shot at a cheap offense against one of the higher priced pitchers, it'd probably be the Blue Jays just because of how good they've been over the last 30 days, the last month. One of the better teams, 6th in OPS, like I talked about, 4th in batting average against left-handed pitching. It sucks stacking up against Rodon, but the thing going for the Blue Jays is the Yankees bullpen has slipped a little bit over the last month. Some of the estimators in terms of the bullpen have them 22nd in baseball over the month. Do I think they're the 22nd worst or 22nd best bullpen in baseball? No, I think they're better than that. However, they're pretty taxed overall. They've slipped a little bit. So that is going for the Blue Jays. 4 implied run total against Rodon, which is pretty good for facing Rodon. I would stick to all the righties there, which they did load their lineup. So for me, Ernie Clement in that 2-hole never hits second. That's G Rising special there. Play him at third base at 3,300. Vlad Guerrero's hitting the ball pretty well right now. Kirk at 3,900, power catcher. Springer has been red hot. I like him. And then Addison Barger. So I like those kind of 1 through 6. Don't really like Schneider and Miles Straw in the back half. Don't like Will Wagner. So for me, it's 1 through 6 on the Blue Jays side. I think they have some interest for sure. I don't believe those ownerships that were shown on those guys.
I agree with you as well. That was one of the first points I was going to make. I do not think we're seeing double digits in the first 4 batters. I mean, damn near 5. We have Springer. I don't believe that. It pretty much cut it in half or something like that. And I'll start Blue Jays side. With what I'm seeing in the hitter rankings, with not believing the ownership, I have interest. And they've been pretty good as of late. They're cheap. Like, this is the pivot for me off of like Baltimore, off of Boston. Now, with all that being said, you don't get direct leverage off Rodon. He's going to be low owned, but we're not playing him, and he doesn't grade out well in the hitter or the pitcher rankings. So on a 6-game slate with not many low owned or overlooked spots I like, yeah, I'll just lean into pretty hot team, fair pricing, good hitter rankings that's low owned. So I'm in on the Blue Jays that way. I'm definitely in on the Yankees, though. They are my favorite stack on the slate. Yes, they're chalk. I like them much more than Boston and the O's, who I think also are getting ownership. And it's also easier for me to play the Yankees. Again, if we lock Crochet like we did in SaberSim, but we had 8 other pitchers at all different price tags, that's when I let the power of SaberSim do its thing, especially the contest sims like we run. Like, I'll trust SaberSim to give me a 5-man Yankees, Crochet, run the sims in the 121 or whatever you're doing, and trust that I'll get enough low-owned pieces. Maybe that is mini stacking the Blue Jays on the other side. Maybe it's playing Patrick Corbin, that people, whatever it may be. So many pitchers we had in our player pool, half of them were like 3 or 4 were like 10% owned. Chalk Yankees, And again, other teams will be chalk. They are going to be chalky. Grayed out really well in the hitter rankings. Guaranteed ninth inning at bats. Scherzer at the end of the day, getting up there in age. The velocity's down. Like, this team can absolutely nuke. So I like chalk Yankees. I'm playing them. There's plenty of ways to get different, I think, at SP2 and mini stacks. And like when we get to Boston and the O's that are also chalk, I don't like them nearly as much. So one of my favorite games on the slate. I think you can game stack this one up. Grades out well in the hitter rankings. Yankees are my favorite stack on the slate. All right, let's keep it rolling. Next game, Boston Red Sox. And we keep getting mixed reports. I'm trusting Josh here because there's rain in the forecast. But like this AI review says it's not open today. There are no events listed for today that would require the roof to be open. That doesn't even answer the question. Like, you don't need it open, but it could be open. So
AI is great. AI is great, but it's not the end all be all. I tried to go to their roof Twitter page, and their last post was from like the beginning of June, so that wasn't much help. I just looked at Ballpark Pal, and they had it open. So either way, I mean, either way, it's the third best park in baseball for home run factors. And that's with the roof closed, open, all of the things there. The other thing I will add, just because we're still in this game, the Yankees bullpen is really taxed. I mean, their top four arms in that bullpen have thrown 24 pitches or more in the last 3 days. Four of those arms threw yesterday. Weaver threw yesterday. Tim Hill threw yesterday. Brubaker threw 31 yesterday. He'll be unavailable today. And then Hamilton threw 19 yesterday and Saturday. So their bullpen is taxed. You're going to see that middle to back end of that bullpen, which does help the case for those the Toronto offense. And Toronto, metrics wise, against handedness, actually ranks way better than what the Yankees do over the last month for what it's worth as well.
Love it, Nate. Awesome in-depth information. Yeah, Andrew said I think your game stacks in play. I think both are fine five-mans. I would definitely prefer Yankees, but again, if you're eating all the chalk at pitching, maybe like a Kirby, Crochet, then you can maybe go 5 Blue Jays, and then you can play Judge or something like that if you want to get different a little bit. We like both sides, though. Yankees my favorite on the board. All right, next game, Boston Red Sox and the Cincinnati Reds. 8 total. I guess I should have said from the top, there's no weather concerns at all in this slate, so nothing to worry about in terms of rain. If anything magically changes, which I guess you never know, that looks very unlikely, we'll always take the MLB chat in Discord. 8 total, minus 172 favorites are the Red Sox. I already talked about it. I'm definitely not playing the Reds against Crochet. Someone mentioned earlier, like their leverage, 100% their leverage. I would rather play Toronto, who already thinks very low owned. To be honest, I'd rather fade Crochet and get completely different that way than play the Reds. Yeah, Boston, just because of their pricing, because of their pricing will lead to them being owned because people want to play Crochet on top of good hitting weather and a solid run total. It's just like I'm playing the Yankees at the end of the day. I'm playing chalk Crochet. I can't eat all the chalk. The bottom of the order doesn't scare me one bit. I don't love the Red Sox. I prefer them as minis, if anything. I'll let you talk about them, though.
Yeah, so the thing with I'll start with the weather. This is the best hitting environment and ballpark on the slate overall. Just when you look at ballpark, temperatures in the 80s, 7 to 10 mile an hour winds blowing out towards the Green Monster in left. However, what I'll say about the Red Sox is they got 6 lefties in here. Chase Burns, in his small sample size, has a 42% K rate against left-handed hitters. He is a fly ball pitcher, allows a ton of power because the dude throws 100 miles an hour. He's going to face 6 lefties in here. Those would be the bats that I would like, just because guys like Anthony, Duran, Toro, that 1, 2, 3, they all smash right-handed pitching, and all it takes for them to put the barrel on one of those fastballs if they can get to it. That's the case I would make, but you're not even getting them low owned. They're getting ownership there. And when I look at a pitcher that I was way in on, right, Chase Burns in his first start in Yankee Stadium in much better hitting environment against a much better offense, and he kind of mowed through them, got scuffled a little bit, and now I'm seeing a worse offense getting a lot more ownership. That worries me. I'm with you. Mini stacks only, no Reds interest for me. It would be some of those lefties against Chase Burns there, but I mean, I'm looking at a 42% K rate against lefties for Chase Burns, and nobody's going to play him. I'd rather play both the pitchers in this game and fade the bats.
I'm in agreement. Again, if I'm playing 20 teams, it's not like I'm fully crossing off the Red Sox, They have 2 5-man stacks that trickle in fine. Again, that's the power of SaberSim narrowing down our pitching pool, crossing off the Reds. We're going to cross off, at least I'm going to cross out like the A's. I'm not playing any 5-man A's, so I would cross them off. You only have so many teams on a 6-game slate, but Red Sox definitely fall down the list for me, being one of the highest owned teams on the slate. Tampa Bay Rays and the Oakland Athletics, or not Oakland, I guess, just the A's. At this point, we are looking at a 8 total, minus 172 favorites are the Rays. Again, Rasmussen's good at the end of the day. The pitch count, he's grades out 4 in our pitcher rankings. The biggest concern with him is usually just his pitch count. On a slate like this, though, at 7,500, he's definitely in consideration. SP2 we liked. And we talked about Jacob Lopez in depth. K percentage looks good. He has a long leash. People aren't playing the Rays too much, though. And they have one of the highest totals on the slate. Part of that has to do with, just say Young pitches or Lopez pitches a phenomenal 5 innings. Well, then you still get this brutal bullpen coming behind that they can absolutely tee off on. So just for that point alone, and we've been on the Rays a ton this year, so I'm definitely playing the Rays. Yeah, Rays are one of my favorite stacks. Again, it's not because I think Lopez is bad. It's mainly that bullpen after Lopez, and there is still some unknowns with Lopez as well. So no A's, yes Rays. Hey, look at that. That's how I got.
Yeah, I mean, Rays are my second favorite stack on the board. Love this offense, and you get a ton of stolen bases. I mean, Lopez, when I look at the stolen base, has the best metrics for stolen bases per innings pitched at 0.21, which is, I mean, that's good enough for me to go in. He's allowed 11 stolen bases. Caballero will steal. The dude's got 73 stolen bases over the last 2 seasons. Every time he gets on, he's stealing. Taylor Walls, who's cheap in the back half, will steal. Christopher Morel will steal. Mangum will run. Caminero will run. The only guys that aren't going to run that are in this lineup really are Yandy, Danny Jansen, and Aranda, which I don't really love Aranda anyway. I like Yandy much more at first base against the lefty here, but you did mention, obviously, that A's bullpen is got the worst rankings over the last 30 days. It's been that way all season long. I love this offense when you add in the stolen base upside. I really, really like the wraparound stack with this Rays team. Caballero, Danny Jansen, Taylor Walls. You get 3 cheap bats. Nobody's playing them for sure. Nobody's playing the Rays, but they're definitely not playing the back half. And then adding in Yandy Diaz, Caminero, Christopher Morel. Pick 2 of those guys at the top. Curtis Meade is fine too, but he's got the most pinch hit concerns. In my opinion, on this team, he's strictly their splits bat. Really isn't an everyday player like the rest of these guys for the most part are. So that's the one I would leave out in my opinion. But 5-man stacks definitely include him. Obviously, probably going to see at least in inning or at least a plate appearance or 2 against Jacob Lopez here. When you look at Lopez numbers, yeah, he has a ton of strikeout ability, but he also brings a ton of fly balls and some power there. So that's where I'm looking at. Rays, probably my second favorite offense, hence with the ownership and the weather. The ballpark is pretty similar in terms of weather as what Fenway is. So the ball should fly there. Terrible bullpen and stolen base upside against Lopez and himself. On the A side, don't love it. I think there's much better teams. I would just look at the guys that rank pretty good. Brent Rooker, Nick Kurtz, right there. Nick Kurtz, 3,700 is fine. Rooker's fine anytime he's on the slate, sub 5K with stolen base and power upside. I like other teams more than the A's. So it's pretty much Rays or pass for me in this one.
Did you have more interest in the Rays when you thought it was going to be Brandon Lowe and Josh Lowe in the lineup? Or do you think the ownership came down enough and got a little cheaper where you actually prefer that?
No, because I wanted the righties in particular. That's kind of what I was looking at. I wasn't really looking at the Brandon Lowe and Josh Lowe or however you pronounce those two. The lefties are fine, but lefty. I mean, yeah, it's good for the back half of that game, but I want to stack against this pitcher off the forefront, right? I'm not going in and because you never know what's going to happen out of the bullpen there. So I approached and wrote the Rays up in the slate plan, kind of anticipating them to sit because I know Curtis Meade plays against the lefty in there. They sit one of them a lot, and then Christopher Morel comes in for one of them a lot of the times too, or at least gets a start against the lefty. So there is some pinch hit concerns with those 2 guys on the bench, but if this game's 8-0 or something like that, 6-0, I mean, I don't really think the pinch hit concerns are as high as they could be.
And you said who was the most likely to get pinch hit?
Curtis Meade for sure is the biggest pinch hit concern in that lineup. Second base, third base, they're going to bring in Brandon Lowe if the game's even remotely close for him late in that game.
Good shout. And again, a lot of people, when they're playing the Rays, he just fits so well. Dual position eligibility at 1Z position, batting second at 2,700. Like, that's something in my handbills. Like, I just wouldn't play him at that point. Just if it's 2 at bats, like, and then probably make maybe a third, but the pinch hit risk is that high. There's enough other guys. And I would much prefer Yandy, like you said, to Aranda, both first basemen as well. I mean, hitter rankings have loved Yandy for a while. This dude is out of this world right now. So I don't like Curtis and I don't like Aranda too much in the stack. But yeah, Danny Jansen has pop. You mentioned Walls, Caballero. These guys can run. So yeah, Maed and Aranda, the two that I do not like much. I like the Rays, though. I like the Rays. Solid hitting environment, awful bullpen. That's the main reason I do like the Rays, even though I think Lopez is an interesting play himself at low ownership at a cheap price tag with the solid K prop and upside. All right, next game on the slate. 3 games left. Baltimore Orioles, Texas Rangers. 8 total, -114 favorites. Are the Orioles? Some people talking. Oh, all right. So I will say, Gang Green mentioned how Trevor was number 2 in the pitcher rankings. He's now 7. So when lineups are coming in, it's kind of like Vegas is adjusting and stuff. The pitcher rankings are constantly updating throughout the day. So maybe like if you were just playing Rodgers for the pitcher rankings and now you see it go down to 7, like maybe that makes you feel less inclined to play him. So I just wanted to shout that out. I like seeing Patrick Corbin at number 5 though. Like, that's a guy that's going to be in the pool. And I'm locking Crochet in 20 entry. I want chalk Yankees and other stuff. Corbin definitely is in play. 4.5 K prop, a lot of juice on the over. With that being said, I mean, it is still Patrick Corbin. Are you going to play any pretty low-owned A's? Are you going to play any pretty low-owned Rangers? This game, both sides will be low-owned. What's up, Tor?
I mean, the O's side of things is just, I mean, they got a 26% K rate on the current season against lefties. A team ISO sub 100, which is where all the upside realistically comes in. Yeah, you can steal on Corbin, but these guys got to get on base first to be able to steal and put the ball in play. And they're going to be one of the more popular offenses on the slate. I mean, you look at those ownerships. I mean, they're going to get played for sure. They got a 4.5 implied run total against Patrick Corbin, who everybody has blindly stacked against every time he's been on the slate. He has pitched a lot better this year. And the other thing that I hate is the Rangers bullpen has been one of the best bullpens in baseball over the last month. So if things do go south for Corbin, they're just going to go to that bullpen who has gotten them through a lot of games as of late over the last month or so. I look at their bullpen usage. They are pretty taxed. 3 of their arms did throw 20 or more pitches yesterday, but the rest of their arms should be good to go. Haven't thrown since Saturday, so they've had some time there. I mean, it's more the O's. I mean, this team has just been bad against lefties all season long. Does it change here? I don't know. It could for sure. I'm not going to be on the wagon there. My favorite bat would be Laureano there at 3,900 in the middle of that lineup. Westberg can hit lefties okay. Gary Sanchez, if you need a punt catcher there, he can hit lefties okay. But you have pinch hit concerns as well with these guys because a lot of these guys, like a Gary Sanchez, like a Laureano.
No Westberg.
No Westberg in there? Okay. Yeah.
I
so
just got it recently.
That lowers my interest even more. I'm under on the O side. Laureano will be my favorite bat. One-off viable. There is some pinch hit concerns there. On the Rangers side, I don't really like the Rangers bats here either. Against Trevor Rogers, the O's bullpen is okay, I guess. I just don't like this Rangers offense in general. Corey Seager at 4K seems pretty cheap overall. Even lefty-lefty, this is one of the better lefty-lefty hitters in baseball. He's fine. He'd be my favorite bat as a one-off there. Outside of that, not going to this game for bats for the most part. So I'm pretty under on this game in terms of offense.
I was going to say stack and relax. You said favorite one-off. I hate answering these. MLB hitter rankings, you can just sort there. You can also see it on the stone, but we're on the game. He is one of my favorites. Seager, lefty, will keep his ownership down. 4K is just way too cheap. He's seeing the baseball, and when he's seeing the ball, that's when I want to play him. Number 3 in the pitcher rankings, or in the hitter rankings, excuse me. Rodgers keeps the ball on the ground, though. Like, I don't think he's going out there and striking out 7, but he does a good job limiting some damage. Again, that doesn't necessarily mean points on DraftKings, but it also limits my interest in the Rangers. If I had to pick a side, it probably would be the O's. But I don't like the O's much either. I'm on more Team Corbin than Team Orioles. So this is a game I just don't want to go nuclear. I will not have much on either side.
These bullpens are top 10 in baseball over the last month in terms of the estimators that I look at. And that, I mean, there's much worse bullpens on the slate, which when offense is weak overall, I take a lot more account into the bullpen than I normally would. I know it's very important in general, but on a slate like this where you're making ties and teams are getting ownership, especially in this game with one of the higher totals, both these teams implied to score right around 4.5 runs. That's where I look more at the bullpens. And then, I mean, you get in the bullpens, you're playing splits and you got fresh arms coming in regardless of how the bullpens are. Both of these are two of the better ones. So I'm hoping this game is 4-3, 3-1, something like that. And you just don't need it for DFS.
Yeah. No Westbury. That's big for their lineup. Gary Sanchez will be one of the more popular plays on the slate, hitting cleanup, only 3K. What I'll say to that, like back to that one-off, one of my other favorites would be Cal Raleigh in this next game. I mean, you're completely flipping the bill. People are punting catcher. You're spending up at catcher. If I'm playing someone against Waka, big dumper. This dude has double dong upside any day of the week. Profiles well against him. And again, someone said Corbin and 3 max. Yeah, you can easily go. If you play one of the 3 teams of Corbin, that's 33%. He's projected for 12%. You're almost triple right there. I wouldn't play him in 2 of the 3 teams, but you could play Cal Raleigh, Crochet, Corbin, and stack really whatever team you want. I think that's a totally good way to go. So Seager and Raleigh, two one-offs I like quite a bit. Did anyone say? Yeah, that's very true. If they're down 9-0, they're not sending out the good bullpen arms. That is very true. All right, next game on the slate. 2 games left. Again, appreciate all 330 watching. Couple new faces, I imagine. Hope everybody out here having a great Monday. If you want to join us at the Nation, usually $99 for all of our content, projections, all the sports, ownership, SaberSim, and the best Discord community around. Usually, again, $99 using the code MLB75. Take $75 off your first month. Less than $1 a day, just $24. Again, SaberSim, projections, ownership from us. Also get all MMA, PGA, NASCAR, etc., NFL when it comes back, and access to the Discord. A lot of familiar faces in here in the Discord, like a Gangrene and stuff. Hey, good to see you, Caitlin. Hope everything going well with you. Locking who? Patrick Corbin and 150. Good luck, Squid. Good luck, Squid. 2 games left. Again, we appreciate the like button as well. Helps us out a ton. Kansas City Royals. Seattle Mariners, we are looking at a 7.5 total. Juice on the under. -163 favorites are the Mariners. Kirby will be one of the highest owned pitchers on the slate. Doesn't grade out very well in the pitcher rankings. Can always play a Bobby Witt. If I ever play the Royals, it's like always 1 through 6. Like it's nice getting Jack Caglione in that lineup. He makes it a lot better in the top half. So I never, I guess, hate it when they're completely unowned, guaranteed 9th inning at bats. I just hate stacking in this park at the end of the day. And I guess you might as well make a case for the Mariners more than the Royals when you see similar ownership here, but almost a full run higher for the run total. You're not getting as much direct leverage off of Waka, but again, I made the case for Raleigh flipping the build there. Are you going to have any 5-man stacks on either side?
Yeah, so I like mini stacks more in this game. This game is above average. You know, I'm looking at Baseball Savant for home run factors in general, which you can pick home runs off in this game. You want the lefties against George Kirby. The thing I will say for the Royals is, number 1, they're cheap, and number 2, the Mariners bullpen is right down there next to the A's in terms of one of the worst over the last month. They're not very good in general. I mean, Maikel Garcia, Bobby Witt, Vinny P, Perez, Caglione, those are kind of my favorites there. But again, the cheap lefties, Drew Waters is known to hit a home run a time or two. John Rave is cheap. He's got some power against righties. Kyle Isbell, that dude sucks at baseball, but he hits a random home run. Usually he does the scoring when the rest of the Royals suck as chalk, and Isbell is 2%, and he's the guy that hits the home run somehow. So for me, it's really 2 through 6 I like, or 2 through 7. Don't really like India. Don't really like Rave. Don't really like Isbell much. More mini stacks for the most part there. On the Mariners side, yeah, I mean, Walker's going to get some ownership. Royals bullpen is pretty solid, which does have me less interested, especially in this ballpark. But Cal Raleigh, in elite one-off, there's 4 catchers that are going to be higher owned than him, and he leads the majors in home runs. Ben Rice, you can play him at catcher. He's 4,200. He's going to be one of the most popular plays on the slate. Narvaez, Sanchez, Kirk are all going to be higher owned than Raleigh just due to their prices alone in the stack. So he's a great one-off for sure. Obviously, Polanco at a weak second base position, he's solid too. So mini stacks more on the Mariners side, mini stacks more on the Royals side. If I were to 5-stack aside, I would prefer the Royals just due to the bullpen behind Kirby. And I look at Kirby, the dude just doesn't have a ton of strikeout ability in the current state. He hasn't really topped 5 strikeouts in his last couple starts. So that's the case. And then a pretty bad bullpen behind him.
Yeah, more of a minis one-offs like Bobby Witt. Again, you can always play. Cal Raleigh can always play. A Salvi at catcher if you want, but
you want to say
not a game.
The bullpen for the Seattle. So I just pulled it up. Thornton threw 22 yesterday. Their top 2 arms or 2 of their arms threw 30 and 23. I mean, you look at their bullpen. Of the bullpen arms that are listed on RotoWire, all of them but one have thrown 30 or more in the last 3 days. So it's a bad bullpen and a tax bullpen. That gives me more interest. And you look at last 5. 46, 30, 31, 34, 35, 49, 64. So they're pretty taxed, and it's one of the worst bullpens in baseball. So you're going to see some guys that might just get hung out to dry out there much more than they typically would, which is things that I do like to look at a little bit.
I love it, Nate. Yeah, you're always diving deep into bullpen stuff like that. It's very, very interesting, especially when you're seeing the ownership. I'm still – I'm going to get to the Giants. I like the Giants. I like the Rays more. I like the Yankees more. I like the Blue Jays more. Who do you like more, the O's or either of these 2 teams?
I like the Royals a lot more than the O's, personally.
Right.
I hate the O's against lefties. They're going to get played. Everyone's just sees Patrick Corbin. I'd much rather play Patrick Corbin personally than play the O's offense, and I'd play the Royals at similar price points personally.
I'm trying to get in MLB. What's one rule or filter that is a must for you guys? MLB exposure. I just force stacking. The only thing I do is I force 5-2-1s and 5-3s almost predominantly. That's really all I do. After that, I'm a min-max guy. Like when I'm seeing, I have 70% 5-man Yankees. No, I don't want 5-man, 70% of any 5-man. So I just manually go and do it. So there's a lot of bias and stuff in my own process. I'm not nearly as good at MLB, in my opinion, as some other sports. Always better out there than me in every sport. Nades, I know you're more into this. I know you're more of a 3 to 5 person. At the end of the day, I think the one rule, 4 stacking, 5-2-1, 5-3. After that, that's really all you need.
Yeah, I mean, smaller slates like a 6-game slate is kind of the middle ground, I would say, in terms of stacks. Typically, I'm always a 5-2-1 guy where I force it. On a smaller slate like this, I would include 4-man stacks like a 4-4 or a 4-3. I'm really not deviating from 4-4, 4-3, 5-2-1 or 5-3s realistically. And if you have Saber and the ability to go in and review, I would go in and review Giant Squid, review Shady, review Sully Bro, right? Some of the best players in the world right now that are absolutely smashing baseball time in and time out. You look at some of them, I mean, guys like Giant Squid don't go over 20% on any stack, anything. They spread it wide open because baseball is the highest variance sport in DFS, right? So again, I mean, the Hall of Fame guys fail 7 out of 10 times, if not higher. That just translates right over to exposures and DFS there. I mean, the highest owned pitchers can get blown up anytime they're on the slate. So that's more so what I would do. If you have an optimizer and SaberSim automatically is going to build you teams that correlate like that based on their behind the scenes metrics and simulation data and that goes into building the teams. But realistically, stacking is number one. Don't play a batter against your pitcher on a bigger slate. That's realistically 2 and 3 game slates that I would even look at that. Even then, it's not great. So stack and just don't play anyone against your pitcher is realistically where you kind of want to start. And then it's just using the tools, using the content, listening to shows like you already are to make different decisions and put it together. And at the end of the day, they still have to perform.
Absolutely. Good stuff there. Jimmy Jack, hey, thanks for helping me do my job. Let's take 2 seconds. Usually in a basketball, I'm going to call him a little 30-second timeout. baseball, just a call time, like button, subscribe button down below. Really helps us out. Again, bringing the show for free every single day helps us out. Jimmy Jack, man.
This too. One of the most common mistakes you see is somebody leaves someone off their stack to upgrade, quote unquote, upgrade because they have salary left, right? So if you go in and for the sake of example, right, tonight, if you're stacking the Yankees, right, and you leave a guy off, like just say Anthony Volpe, right, at shortstop at 3,900, and you just decide to go up and spend up to
Bobby Witt or Ellie
De La Cruz. Yeah, obviously it seems much more realistic and it seems a lot more safe, right? That, oh, those guys have more upside. And on most slates, they probably do. However, when you leave someone off your stack, now you go to a guy that people are also going to play as a one-off in different roster constructions. And Volpe could get up with Stanton, Chisholm, Judge on base, hit a bomb, and then you just lost all the points from your stack. So don't break your stack up to send extra salary to get up and click a higher name. In general, at the end of the day, correlation wins in baseball, whether you believe it or not. It's proven to have success. So avoid doing that. You can take that example. A lot of times it happens in the outfield because you have 3 outfielder spots available, and it feels a lot more gross putting a guy like Miles Straw, for example, and leaving salary on the table to get up to one of the higher priced outfielders, etc. So that's what I would avoid for sure.
Yep. And again, when you're forcing the 5-2, 5-3 on Saber, it's naturally going to do that because you're forcing the stacks. But very good point. In hand build, you can leave $1,800. You prefer adding the 5th man in the stack versus another one-off all day long in baseball. All right, last game of the night. Arizona Diamondbacks and the San Francisco Giants. 8.5 total, -136 favorites are the Giants. Logan Webb grades out well in the pitcher rankings. He's been awesome this year, one of the better pitchers in baseball. The thing with him was like Crochet's K prop is so much better. You'll get some leverage if you play the D-backs. There's just like, even though I didn't love the Mariners, I'd rather pick on Waka than I would Logan Webb. And I think I can go up and down the list and say the same thing. Like we didn't love this O's Rangers game. Well, yeah, I want to pick on Trevor Rogers and Patrick Corbin more than I want to pick on Logan Webb. So I'm not getting to these D-backs as 5-mans. The Giants, I think, are very interesting, though. Guaranteed 9th inning at bats. The roof will be closed. It's like 113 here today. I mean, Ryan Nelson is not very good. He's not terrible, I guess. Like he's one of those guys that's a better real-life pitcher, and he's still, I don't think, very good than he is a DFS guy. The upside is very rarely there. But, man, ever since adding Devers to this lineup, like it's so much more appealing 1 through 9. And I do think you can play 1 through – like Patrick Bailey at 2,300 at catcher, fine. Jake's talking about wanting to punt catcher, do all that. At least you're saving 700 from Gary Sanchez. Like you're just full punting it. That's the guy that people will go after that. I do prefer the top half of the order. It's been bad for Adames this year. You still know he has big boy power. I like the Giants, especially on a slate that I don't love too many offenses. Giants are one of my favorites. Talk to me about the D-backs bullpen, and then what are you doing in this one?
Yeah, Giants are my top stack at the ownership and the salaries on the slate. Obviously, Yankees have a higher implied run total. They're also going to be owned as such. You look at the Arizona D-backs bullpen, one of the worst in baseball, and they use 6 bullpen arms on Saturday alone. They've thrown 24 pitches, 29, 32, 42, 42 is what their bullpen looks like in terms of usage over the last 3 days. Very taxed, a bad bullpen, and a huge park upgrade for the Giants going out to Arizona against a guy that you want righties. I mean, he's just as bad against righties as he is lefties. A little bit lower strikeout to lefties, but I mean, you look at the last month for Reed Nelson, a 17% walk rate to righties, a K percentage of 19.4, 36 plate appearances, an ISO against righties of 367, and a fly ball rate at 35%. The best hitters for the Giants outside of Devers hit from the right side of the plate, right? Adames, Flores, Casey Schmidt all hit the ball in the air. Young Ho Lee came over from KBO. He's a contact guy, doesn't have a ton of power, but he puts the ball in play. Bad things can happen. Yastrzemski, Devers. I mean, this whole Heliot Ramos, I like them all. I like everyone in this lineup. I love playing this team outside of their home ballpark. They're going to be fairly low owned against the full 9 inning at bats against one of the worst bullpens in baseball and a tax one at that against one of my least favorite pitchers on the slate in general. So I'm in on this team. Love them. Probably will shoot me in the foot overall, but I'm going to take a chance on the Giants here. And on the D-back side, I think there's better plays to go against. I will say Ketel Marte has been one of the hottest hitters in baseball. 6K feels steep, but the dude just murders the baseball right now. Josh Naylor, I don't love stacking. Giants bullpen is one of the best in baseball as well. Logan Webb, been a beast all season. Ground ball guy, will keep the ball on the ground. You could pick off a one-off home run. Marte would be my favorite option there, but less interest in the D-back side for sure.
Great stuff, Nades. That is all 6 games on DraftKings. Again, 7:07 Eastern start time on DraftKings. If you are playing FanDuel, 6:35 Eastern. They did include 2 earlier games. We do have projections, ownership for all them on the Stone. You scroll up, I'll give you a little sneak peek. Like you got hitter rankings, pitcher rankings. People are asking about Wheeler, etc. All the content is up for the FanDuel stuff as well. We're always talking DK like usual. If you do want to check out hitter rankings, pitcher rankings, sack rankings, all that. PGA, by far the best team in the business. MMA, week off. Then after that, NASCAR. And again, Wimbledon. People were talking about the chat's lit. There's Canadian Football League. They're talking in college football. So much. I think the Discord alone, well, I know the Discord alone is worth $24. Again, not always is the content $24 for the first month, though. You can get it. Use the promo code MLB75. Usually $99 for the Optimizer Core package, SaberSim, projections, ownership, Discord. Use that promo code MLB75. Gets you $75 off. Just $24 for your first month. Absolutely cannot beat that. Nades, final thoughts for the people.
No, if you are playing on FanDuel, those are the only 2 games that do have weather concern. Both Roth has them take, both are yellow. So make sure you monitor those. I don't play on FanDuel over there. They finally have a contest, I guess, where you can win money tonight. So that's nice if you do play over there. But both of those games, the Padres and the Phillies game and the St. Louis and Pirates game, both do have weather concerns, whereas the rest of these 6 games we just talked about do not. So I would take that. I'd probably more rather play the bats in those games since offense was pretty weak that we went through and not worry about the pitcher. I know Zach Wheeler's going. That's how I would approach it. But yeah, no, good luck tonight. Got a couple different angles in. Obviously, we know where the chalk's going to go. So whether you play it or whether you don't, just make sure you take different things into account, like playing the back half of lineups or not going with total chalk in your roster. All it takes is 2 spots, really, 1 or 2 spots to be different, and usually including those 7, 8, 9 hitters in the more popular offenses are always going to be lower owned than the top, but should be a fun one.
Awesome stuff. One last thing I got to add, just more general for DFS. Someone in our Discord was talking in the PGA chat. He played one lineup in like 30 contests yesterday. He was sick for PGA. It was 6 for 6. He still didn't get all the way to the top. I responded in a couple others. Everyone has their own strategy. Kenny just plays one team, high stakes, the one team in a couple contests. He does phenomenal. Everyone has to find what works for them. But just know, if you're playing one team in all these contests, you're just turning, MLB, the variance is already to a max. You're just turning that to a whole nother level. And also, people will think like, I have more upside, which is true. If you take first place, like Shalhoub, that one day when he took first in all those contests, yes, you have all the upside in the world to ship it all. However, it's really hard to ship everything in one team. Also, some people are going like a 500-man contest in one of them, and then it's the flagship at 25,000. You should be building those teams differently, like Birdie Monster talks about. Also, building a portfolio on cold streaks. You play 20 teams, at least maybe 3 will cash or something. Maybe 19, all the bubbles are on the left side. That one team, it's all the way on the right. I promise you, if you take first place, you will not care about any other teams that you play. So top heavy nowadays. You also don't want to cannibalize yourself up top as well. I'm playing 20 teams, but I'm playing 20 Yankee stacks. I guess you can. I don't think that's the optimal move. And like Big Nate said, if you are a SaberSim member, it is starter or above. You do get contest flashback. You will not see Rio, Giant Squid, Chipotle Addict, whoever you deem to be the best player, you will not see them doing that. So that's one more thing I wanted to add. At the end of the day, to be a winner in DFS, you have to stay in the game. You have to have the bankroll. Everyone goes through cold streaks. Bankroll management will keep you around so you do get that big hit. And then if and when you get that big hit, don't be playing 5x what you normally do and just give it all away. Stick with the process, and that is how you stay in for the long time. So that's all we got. Awesome stuff, Nades. Always good talking baseball with you. UNG Rising will be back tomorrow. For Nades, I'm Title. Good luck tonight. Be safe. Peace.